All right, well, we're all giggling here. Welcome back. My name is Jason Watson with WCG. We are doing a podcast sort of aimed at maybe showing others who might consider joining our team what we're all about. And in this segment, some of the challenges of our firm. So let's do some fast introductions again.
Sure. Jason Schneider, Managing Partner, WCG.
Awesome.
Megan Oeltjenbruns, Tax Manager, WCG.
Awesome. Well, thanks. All right, what are some of our challenges, Jason? What do you think? And we only have 15 minutes.
Minutes.
Kelly's like, this is never going to make it. We're going to be cut off.
Yeah, a lot of our challenges, I'm excited about our challenges, first of all.
I agree.
And I told you this back in May, where I started to get a little antsy, waiting for tax season to end so we can address these things and start attacking them.
Nothing worse than seeing the problem but can't fix it because timing's not right.
Yes. So it's kind of awkward to say we're excited about our challenges, but that's WCG.
Yeah, so we are. We run towards the problem.
We're really excited about solving our problems. Yeah. We're not excited about the problems themselves, probably.
Okay. So some of the problems that we're currently dealing with is client communication.
Yep. Number one problem.
Yeah, number one problem. That is quickly followed by staffing. And then I would say it's internal training, to be honest with you, because not only are we looking at client communication, staffing, now we have to train people to do it the way we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Development, for sure. Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Megan?
I think communication is a huge one, probably our number one this year. And it's interesting because it's the entire industry apparently suffers from this, right? Because we get a lot of new business who come in and say, I'm shopping for a CPA because mine doesn't return my calls.
Right.
Okay, and we say, great, we'll do that. Well, now we have to,
Right.
And so managing all of that is, priority one, really.
Right. And the clients that leave us, though, say they leave for communication.
Yep.
So is that a disconnect between what the client expects of our industry, or is it WCG, or is it both? I would say it's both. We could probably do a better job.
Yep.
I feel like it's easy to rise above. I would like WCG to be that firm that is just very communicative and very responsive and all that, because that is so easy to do, and it's so differentiating from our competition. So you're telling me that there's something that's easily done that'll make us different than everybody else? Let's do that.
And all I have to do is talk?
Yeah, exactly.
All we have to do is connect and communicate?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting too, and this goes into some stuff we'll talk about later too, as far as, who is our client and some of this, because you do hear then from clients occasionally, oh, you guys send so much email.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're trying to keep you up to date, and so you've got to know who you're dealing with too. I mean, every client has different expectations, different needs in that area. And so a lot of it is just building that relationship to where they feel like they trust you, so that if they haven't heard from you, they believe that you're still working in their best interest. And they just, I don't know, they like talking to you, you like talking to them, the whole thing, and then that builds a lot of that trust.
Yeah, I agree. As some people know, I used to work for the airlines. I used to fly for the airlines, and we're delayed, and people would be like, I'm never flying your airline again. I'm like, okay, no problem. I understand. And they would go to a different airline, and they'd go to another airline, and then they learn that this is a systemic thing. Delays happen, bags get lost, cancellations occur, mechanicals, whatever. And then I think the public over time starts to learn that. Like, oh, okay, I can't be mad at United or whoever, because this is just what happens. If you fly enough, you're going to be displaced. You're going to have problems. And in the accounting world, that happens to us. At times, you get somebody who's like, I've never had a CPA before. You're my first. And you're like, whoa, okay, we kind of have to educate you on how this relationship is supposed to go. We're not giving in, we're not saying we're succumbing to the industry standard, but there is sort of a standard of how we do business. Mm-hmm. Not that it's just our way, it's the industry's way, and some people don't know that. So then they look at us as we're the problem, and really it's systemic to the industry, if you will.
Talk about displacement. I mean, let's just, I could close my eyes and think back the last year and a half, all the way back to 2018, and talk about displacements that have been handed or passed through the industry that accounting professionals have to deal with that are not of their choosing, right? But now we need to re-educate ourselves, re-educate our teams, re-educate the clients, re-educate our business owners that we're consulting with, re-educate the general public. That's a displacement. That's not a lost bag. That's a missing airplane. I don't know what to call that.
Are you referring to like tax code changes or
the TCJA, the qualified business income.
So what did Rachel say? She said that we haven't had a normal tax season since 2017, which would be working on 16 tax returns, right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Because in 18, working on 17 returns was Section 199A, and we're a small business CPA firm, so every client has these issues, and are you specified service trade or business or not, and all these problems. And then the year after that was a little bit settled, because Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was in year 2, and then we had COVID stuff, and we're still dealing with that today.
2 extended tax seasons too, which
Right,
throws
that's
off
true.
the rhythm of the whole year.
No, absolutely. So some of the challenges that we have is difficulty finding staff that want to join our team in all positions, qualified, experienced, not qualified, all those things. Or some of that's industry-wide. What do you guys think?
Absolutely industry-wide. We have been, as an industry, talking about this for several years, about this gap in qualified individuals that range between currently in college now to 20 years of experience.
Right.
That's the gap. And then you have the partners that are kind of refusing to leave or not necessarily wanting to retire because there's just no one to backfill their position, right? And so it's absolutely industry-wide. Now, what do we do about that? How do we differentiate ourselves? How do we fill those gaps? And that's what we're struggling with right now as an industry, is trying to find unique ways to stand out and interact with our team members.
Well, it's hard too, because there's so many small business owners, and we'll talk about the client types here in a little bit, but they're like, look, I need help and no CPA firm can help me. They're too full, or they culled their list and I was on it for whatever reason, or someone left and they gave me a letter saying, hey, we're having to end our engagement, unfortunately, and they're turning and there's nowhere to go. And it's like, well, we can't accept you either. Right. Like we got a fixed space on the bookshelf. We talk about that all the time. And so it's a challenge. And one of the things that I mean, the number of CPA exam candidates are dropping, and that could be just because we're in this weird wave, but I don't think the profession is as sexy or as inviting or as whatever as it used to be. I mean, 30 years ago, we didn't have a lot of tech-related jobs, and there's probably other industries that were just coming out or emerging, and now they're full-on robust. Think about environmental engineering. 30 years ago, not a big deal. Today, that's a huge field,
I think one major sticking point is, industry-wide, accounting firms are still very traditionally based. You put yourself in that chair and you wait your turn.
Right.
And people don't really work that way anymore. I think it used to be you came out of college and you got your license and then you parked at a desk and waited for the partner to die.
Right.
Because that was how you progressed, right? And people just nobody stays in jobs like that anymore. That's not, and nobody will wait. They're not willing to move forward based entirely on seniority.
Right.
So that's one thing I think we're really cognizant of here, is that we don't operate like that at all.
Oh my gosh, we're starving. We're starving.
Yeah,
I mean, we're growing.
Yeah, we need qualified people, and if we can find them, they can come and do what they can do.
It's really, I think it comes down to the math. If we're growing at 600,000-700,000 in revenue each year. That's net new revenue, and we are. That's WCG's historical growth pattern, at least for the last 3 years. Even during COVID, we grew $575,000 in revenue. That, if you look at what it takes to manage that revenue, that's at least 3 people. For, you're looking at about $175,000, let's say ideally, per person of revenue. And so you need at least one of those to be a senior person. You need one of those to be able to handle that book of business and have some other supporting staff, staff accountants and stuff that have some experience. That's where we're at, right? And it's super challenging. And that, I think that's one of the benefits of WCG is that you're going to step in if you are that senior person somewhere else. And let's say you're stuck in a chair and like old man Harold isn't passing away anytime soon or retiring, and there's a tax manager under him and then there's you and you're just like, you can't go anywhere. And you've kind of felt that. That's why you're here. But you're like, how do I get out from underneath that? Man, we're starving for that here.
I go back to a conversation. We just hired a new lady in a staff accountant 2 position, and I overheard a conversation. So it was like my wandering down the halls. And
your walkabout?
My walkabout. And she leans over to one of her cohorts who she worked with at this other firm, and she's like, "You actually get to talk to clients?" And he's like, "Yeah." She's like, "That's so cool." like that's one of the differentiators at WCG is like having someone come from a traditional, long-standing CPA firm with multiple partners, et cetera, lots of employees, to hear like that, hearing that excitement in her voice, like, yes, I'm moving in the right direction. Yeah. I made the right choice. It was really cool to overhear.
That's awesome. So we have challenges within our firm that we created and systemically in the industry. How are we overcoming those?
We're coming up with plans and implementing them. That's
from
really
a staffing perspective.
From a staffing perspective, it's brutal out there to hire seniors.
Yeah.
It is, and so we're looking really hard at draft and develop too.
Yeah.
So that new staff accountant, she's going to move up as fast as she can operate.
Absolutely.
That's if she can show that she can get on the phone, that she can build relationships with clients, that she can do technically proficient work. She's very bright, so I don't doubt it. But as soon as she demonstrates that, sky is the limit.
Yep.
Keep moving. So.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? We can teach you those tangibles, tax experience, tax knowledge, how to put a return together, how to carry the one, all those things. We can do that. We can't teach eagerness. We can't teach professionalism. All those intangibles.
Empathy.
Yeah, empathy for the client. We do have face engagements, not faceless engagements. No, absolutely. So we're hitting all this stuff head on as much as we can. Hence this podcast, let's just be honest, right? To kind of give viewers and listeners a peek into WCG and where we're at. I love what you said earlier about the staff account or about the senior staff accountant kind of being like a tax manager at other firms.
Yeah.
And tax managers here being like a partner, a junior partner at another firm. That's what we expect. But what's really cool, I see, as you guys have also said too, is that you get to have that autonomy. You get to talk on the phone to the client as, she's in her 3rd year, right? The person that we're referring to. That's awesome, right? And so that's one of the benefits of WCG that I think is often overlooked is that someone is like, well, I'm a senior staff accountant now and this is what I do, so why would I go to WCG and just do the same thing? And we've had a lot of people come through our door to interview and all that, and they're looking to have that new title. Like, hey, I'm a tax manager there, so I want to be a tax manager here or a senior tax manager here. And we've had to, unfortunately, have some awkward conversations like, I don't think your skill set translates into our job titles.
Yeah.
Our job titles incorrectly defined? I don't think so. It's just who we are as a firm. But if you come here as a tax manager, if you come here as a senior staff accountant, you're going to have instant leadership role, instant autonomy in a lot of ways. You're going to be within the confines of WCG, but kind of doing your own thing, running your own ship in a lot of ways.
I will say that I've never felt as in control of my career as I do right now.
That's
okay.
that's a ringing endorsement.
Well, it is though. But I mean, I always used to say, man, if I can even be doing 30% work that I don't hate, I'm winning this year. And I've completely flipped now. I mean, there's no job where it's like sunshine and rainbows all day, but every day I get to do work that matters to somebody, and I get to some extent decide what that looks like. You know, I mean,
That's
obviously
awesome.
within the confines of the firm and all and what you guys need, but like, I have a ton of control. You know, you've said you want to start up an audit department. I don't, but if I do, you know, there's opportunities for growth in whatever direction I might want to grow.
Yeah, I just to recap a little bit, Kelly's given us the wrap it up signal, but you know, I define a hero, not I, but I've heard definitions of a hero as someone that runs towards the danger, and I take that and say a professional is someone that runs towards the issue or the problem, and that's what we do here, right? So we're very malleable. Yet we run towards the issue and we attempt to solve it. And not everything gets solved immediately. Some things take longer, and we have to involve a lot of people because they have a lot of good input. But like you said a couple segments ago, that some firms just kind of sit back and go, don't want to change.
We tried that 8 years ago and it didn't work.
Right. Right.
You know, I mean, that's something I've literally heard someone say.
Yeah.
So it's, you know, just the idea that
Yeah.
we're gonna try something.
Yeah.
Whatever the problem is, it's a problem and it has to be addressed. We can't ignore it, and that's not that common
No.
in firms.
No, it's awesome. I love it. Like you said earlier, maybe in this segment or one before, but to be excited about tax season coming to an end, so we can tackle all the problems that we've had to step over and ignore and all that stuff as we march towards a filing deadline, and we can't get too distracted on fixing things. That's awesome to say that we're eager to do that, and I agree we are.
Yeah.
So I'm going to wrap it up. In our next segment, we're going to kind of talk about our culture and some of the favorite things. I think you have a good story maybe to share as well, and we'll listen to that. So again, my name is Jason Watson with WCG, and you're listening to our podcast, and we'll talk to you in a little bit.